In my previous video about the 710, some commented jokingly to, improve frame rate, just run off the integrated GPU. And yeah, I'm with you. But let's see real quick, how would that actually go? Now, the CPU that everything ran off of was an i5-6500. The integrated GPU in that CPU is Intel's HD Graphics 530. Now, it has 1/8 the amount of shaders that the GT710 has. However, the texture and pixel fill rates are slightly greater. So let's just see what it can do. Now, each of their hardware encoding abilities technically aren't identical, so this really isn't a one-to-one comparison, but loading up the same video file in Handbrake with the same settings on each shows the 530 encoding a bit faster than the 710, and it finished just under a minute sooner. In heaven, the 530 performed better than the 710 and averaged about 16 FPS higher. Now, one thing that you'll notice, besides the 530 having a greater average frame rate, the frame times bounced around quite a bit, often between 10 and 60 milliseconds, while the 710 was much steadier at around 30 milliseconds. In Superposition, the HD 530 again pulled ahead and averaged a little over 2 FPS higher. Now in Unreal Tournament 3, the 530 fell behind on average by about 16 FPS. However, it still performed very well and averaged 47 FPS. Now Raft, it's a bit too much for either of these, but the 530 pulled ahead slightly. Both felt about the same to play, lots of lag on both, but, well, technically Intel pulled ahead. Need for Speed Most Wanted is another older game, but ran fine on both. The 530, however, maxed at 30 FPS, and yes, VSync was in fact disabled. Looking at the GPU usage, it seems like it was really pushed close to its max. Probably memory bandwidth was what was holding it back.
And Crypto, do verify your suit is working under Earth's atmospheric conditions. Get a move on!
Destroy All Humans was also another that was a bit much for either, but the 710 won this round and averaged about 2 FPS higher. The 710 also played much smoother, with far less lag. Fallout New Vegas, well, really, without the OSD, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference between either. They both felt and played about the same, but to be fair, the 530 did win and rendered on average about 2 FPS higher. Now, Crysis Remastered running at 720p, well, yeah, the 530 didn't do so well. There's lots of missing textures, and all in all, it just rendered far slower. Now, GTA 4, I gotta say, the fact that this game runs at all on either of these is just crazy. Neither were great, but truthfully, neither really were bad either. Anyone who's played this knows what an unoptimized shitfest it is. So yeah, the 710 won. However, the fact that an integrated GPU can run this at all, well, that in itself is impressive. GTA 5, yeah, the 530 played far better. The 710, although it worked, it had far higher input lag, and in comparison, the 530 just all around felt smoother. Now I'll let a bit of the benchmark run, just so you can see the difference. and of course Portal 2 both did great, but the 530 actually averaged 108 FPS. So I'm including the results from the DDR3 710 and the GDDR5 1030 just for reference. And yeah, it shows how weak each of these really are. A 1030 is far weaker than, say, a 1080. And these 710s and iGPUs are not even up to the 1030's abilities. But I gotta hand it to Intel on this one. If you were using the CPU anyways and only had a 710, well, you might as well remove it and run the iGPU. That is, unless you're running multiple monitors, and yeah, obviously you might need the 710. Now, as you can see, there were some games that did far better on the 710, and also the 710, you could overclock it and potentially beat the 530 on all of these. So it really comes down to what you would have been stuck with at the time. However, I'd say if at that time I was stuck with each of these, I'd probably just sell the 710 on eBay and use the $20 or whatever I got for it and put that towards an i7. Well, like I said, just another quick video. As always, if you made it this far, thanks again, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see in the future. I'll keep an eye out for that hardware, and I'll see what I can do. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.